you ruined the surprise right before you saw and asked if Tim made it. So, surprise. Unfortunately, Rod is sick. So I was in Reseller Information Network's podcast this morning chatting, and it just so happened Tim was talking about coming on, but he started his football podcast next week. And I'm like, well, I happen to need a fill-in tonight, Tim. And here he is. So happy that Tim is with us. If you guys do not know, my co-host tonight is Tim from over the years, and I'll let him introduce himself as well as the other two guys. Scott, you guys should all know, a very good friend of mine, ChaChingKing, and Caddy Corner is Justin at Resells, and all of their links are in the description. Tim, I did add your link and Reseller Information Network to the description, though. I did that. I got that far.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to make these guys big. They can introduce themselves, tell you where you can find them and a little bit about themselves. And then we will get to the questions. Get them in early. We had some talkative people on last week. If you guys all know, Kevin, we had 35 unanswered questions last week, which is the highest I think we've ever had. So get your questions in early. And here is Scott.
I'm Scott, also known as ChaChingKing, and same name on Instagram. And if you're new here or don't know me, I do mostly educational videos on YouTube and comedy relief on Instagram, I think. That's it.
All right, here's Justin.
Hey, y'all, I'm Justin. I run the Justin Resells YouTube channel. Been reselling on eBay since the 90s and started a YouTube channel a couple years ago, and mostly do educational stuff as well. So happy to be here. Thanks.
Perfect. Here's Tim.
My name is Rod. You guys can find me picking and punching on YouTube and picking and punching cards as well. No, my name is... Don't
forget flipping and punching, Rod.
Yeah, my name is Tim. I am a full-time reseller and content creator. I have multiple YouTube channels. You can find me on Over the Years Sports, Reseller Information Network, and Authentic in the Beard. And then Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that jazz too. So it's good to be back. It has been a very long time since I've been on this show, so I'm excited to be back. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad I could fill in for my buddy Rod.
Look, and Lisa and I agree with this. Please tell Josie thank you for letting you join us tonight.
Yes, I will make
sure. I haven't seen Josie in so long. Like,
she's good. She just got home from work, so she's downstairs. She's actually she got some food, so she's eating right now. I'm gonna have to wait for my dinner till later, but she's watching. I hope she's watching because I was so worried about this lag situation because it's been a while since
You're not lagging. It's good.
I run this setup, so I had told her to watch and let me know if it gets bad. I'll switch to another setup.
All right. We have a really quick super chat from Eric OBX Picker, who is also part of Reseller Information Network. And we do have a surprise super chat that is available tonight. So I'm going to give that to Eric right now. Here you go. Surprise, Tim!
Oh, my gosh. So for those of you that don't know, I don't believe in dinosaurs. I also love 7-Eleven and glass. So that's where all that came together.
I have to admit, obviously, I was part of this.
Oh, Lord.
So there's a new super chat you guys can request now if you want. You can request Tim the dinosaur, or you can request Kevin with his pineapple butt, whatever you want. I don't care. Or just the regular, courtesy of Reseller Information Network. Yes. All right. I don't know what Gina means. Maybe Scott knows. Do you use RN lookup? What do you know what she means, Scott?
Yeah. RN is it's a textile registration number. And so on clothes that have had the tag cut out of the neck, a lot of times on the side seam, there will be an RN number. And if you just type in RN lookup, it will also bring up like registered nurses. So you have to put in textile RN lookup, and then you can type the number in and it should tell you who made it. So like 149179 will be Toltecs.
But like sometimes if you look up the RN, different stuff comes up. Like I've tried that and not been like successful.
If it's been reassigned, then it would be a different company. But,
Okay.
you know, but typically it'll tell you what you have.
Look, Gina says she didn't think I did. Okay, I'll let Justin and Tim answer now. Thanks for knowing that I didn't know something. I appreciate that.
I also, I didn't know what RN number meant either. Sometimes I look up, using the RN number, just, you'll get some hits on eBay search for it, but I didn't know if it was like a style code or what. So I'm learning stuff today too.
So my next video, no.
Oh, well, listen, I had no idea either. I thought this was like Tinder for registered nurses, but apparently not. So yeah, I've also learned something new, which is what I love. I love learning new stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Perfect. All right. Miss Laura says, hi, everyone. I wasn't able to list on eBay for 3 months and just started back. How long do you think the algorithm will take before it benefits me like it was before? So she's asking, do you think like a month of steady listing, or how long of regular listing do you think until the algorithm's liking her again?
My own personal opinion is I really truly think we put too much thought into the algorithm. You keep listing good stuff and it'll come back around. It's slower for me, at least with the things that I list in August, and it's slowly starting to pick back up now. But if you're listing now and you're consistent, it'll pick you back up fairly quickly, my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Scott, there. It really just depends on what you sell. You could be selling, low demand items and it would take 6 months, or you could be selling high demand items and you'd be off and running the first day you start listing stuff. So it really just totally depends on what you're listing. I agree. There's a lot of emphasis that gets put on the algorithm when really just focus on sourcing quality inventory. That's the best thing you can do.
I mean, these guys are pretty good. They're spot on here. I'm very anti-algorithm. I don't really believe in the algorithm. I think it's make-believe. So
it's like a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. I like this guy already. So yeah, for me, it's just, just keep going at it. Try to be consistent. And it really comes down to, good quality items, good quality listings, good quality, part of the listing obviously is your photos and stuff like that and your price points. I know somebody who just got back into reselling and they've already started, just got back into listing items after a little bit of a hiatus, and they've already started selling high dollar items, with no problem. So I'm sure you already have a history as far as like your feedback and stuff like that goes. So I wouldn't worry about the algorithm. I would just worry about what you can control, and that is your inventory and the style of listings that you do.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. If you're getting like high sell-through items and you're putting them up, the algorithm doesn't matter. What matters is sell-through rate and the demand for the items that you're listing. So if they're popular, they're gonna sell and they'll sell fast. So I would going back into it, I would be more particular on sell-through and try to list those faster sell-throughs. So it's getting your things seen more. That's just like sometimes you accept a lower offer on a slow sales day, right? Like, and I know Tim probably doesn't, that's probably like a dinosaur to Tim. But if I accept a low sale, like a low offer, other sales come. Like I seen it every single time, and I think because they see, oh, people want one of my items, let's throw some more in front of other people. I don't know, but I seem to, if I accept an offer, I seem to get more sales typically. All right. Sober reseller, what does your process look like for getting clothes ready to photograph? Do you steam, wash, iron, etc.?
So it really depends upon the clothes. So this last haul, I had a whole bunch of brand new stuff. So at most, I'm going to steam it, and then I take my pictures and go. But if it's vintage stuff, a lot of that stuff I'm not going to do anything to. If I've got a 1930s sweatshirt, I'm not going to do anything, and I'll put in there that it's a barn find and it comes the way it is. But so it really depends upon what it is. And for most things, if it's super stinky, I'm not buying it anyway, unless it's something people would buy stinky.
Yeah, same. I think, getting clothes ready to list sort of starts at the sourcing. Likewise, I tend to pass on things that are going to require a lot of cleaning or destaining or getting rid of smells, I just won't buy them just because that's added time and energy you got to put into that. But of course, there could be stuff that's really good, that may require a little bit of work. And the most common stuff that I do is stain removal, OxyClean soaking, things like that, to get rid of some, stale smells or just some staining on it. And so that's usually the extent of what I do, though, is just some general cleaning.
So this is actually interesting because I feel like this is something that changes a lot. Like when I first started and I was doing clothes, I was ironing them. Well, my Dukes, shout out my Dukes. My Dukes was helping me back then with a little bit of ironing. But, I used to iron my stuff. And then, then I start doing flat lay. I have like my board. I don't even really need to iron. Like you can kind of just like hand iron it out so that it looks presentable. But I think what Justin touched on is super important too, as far as like the buying stuff goes. Like I've gotten to the point where like I try to avoid projects, and that's across the board. There has to be a certain level of value in order for me to invest in the project. I think that's kind of like where the line gets drawn. And if there's say there's like a little stain, like I used to be pressed and be like, oh man, I gotta take the stain out. But then like that, all that time that you're taking to take the stain out, and it's like, if you wash something and clean something, you gotta be careful too, because people got allergies to like certain detergents and stuff like that. So it's like, for me, I found where it's like, if it's just a little stain, I just take a picture of it, put it in the description. And a lot of the stuff I'm dealing with is vintage anyway. So like, like these people are going to probably want to, do whatever they want to do with it, or they want to rock it the same way. Like, even if it's just a hole or something, like I'm just, take a couple bucks off and list it as it is, like it's all about the presentation. So as long as you're photographing well and being detailed in your description, like if it has a stain, it doesn't even matter. Like most people are going to wash the clothes anyways after they get it from you, I would hope. So I think like the less you put into it, the better, unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and anybody that knows me knows I'm not ironing, guys. I'm not ironing. I'm not trying to get a stain out. I will wash it if it's like musty or stinky. I'm not going to say I wouldn't wash it, but it comes out of the dryer and gets listed. It doesn't get steamed. It doesn't get anything. And we sell a lot of clothes. So obviously, like, it's going to get wrinkled when you put it in the friggin' poly bag anyways. Like, I'm all about like less work. That's like shoes. I don't clean shoes. They get listed however the heck I find them. So I do pay attention when I'm picking up, and I'm not like picking up a ton. What we do with the stains, I do same thing as Tim. I'll notate the stain and I'll put stain removal not attempted. So they know like I washed the thing, but I didn't try and, get the stain out. So if they want to do it, they can do it. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just like letting them know if those defects are there. So for us, it's literally laying them out and running our hands over them, and as smooth as they get, that's what they get. So there is no process here at all. None. All right. Unique Vintage says, I have a buyer who for the second time in 2 months is asking for a bundle price on rare mid-century modern mushrooms. It took time to create special listings and then crickets from the buyer both times. So they asked for this bundle. She created it for them, spent the time, then they didn't buy it. Would you now block that buyer?
Me? Oh yeah, you're done. Like if you required extra work of me and then you ghosted me, like I'm done.
Yeah, same.
Justin's nicer than me. Let's ask him.
I don't know. I don't think I am actually. I've got an itchy trigger finger when it comes to the block button, and just you get the wrong vibe from somebody. You sell enough stuff, you know kind of what to expect. And I've put a couple of bundles together like that, and I don't know that I've had anyone ever ghost me like that. But I think if they did, I would not entertain their business in the future, because they could be, sketchy in the future. So I would definitely block them for sure.
So anytime I hear the word block, the first person I think of is my guy, Dan in Demand. Shout out Dan in Demand, Reseller Leftovers podcast. I love those guys. Listen, you want to hear something crazy? I've never blocked anybody on eBay before in my entire life.
That is
oh my
crazy.
gosh, Tim.
Yeah, I don't even know how to block.
I can teach you. I could teach you.
I really don't even know how to block somebody. So for me, I'm gonna kind of like look at this from a different perspective. First things first. I guess I'm assuming because it's MCM mushrooms and we're talking eBay here. I'm not going to make a bundle for nobody. That's the first thing. So like, if somebody hits me up and they're like, "Can I bundle both of these items?" Yeah, all you gotta do is add them both to your cart, and then I'll give you I'll refund you the difference on shipping if need be. But like, that's the first thing right there. Is like, if you've already made a listing and somebody wants to bundle two listings, there's no bundling. You just add them both to your cart. It's very simple. So like, don't even put yourself in this situation. Just anytime somebody asks you to bundle something, tell them to add it to the cart. Or if they want like a discount price, tell them to send you an offer on each item, and you'll be good. But like, that's how I would look at it for real.
Yeah, I am known for being block happy as well. I think anybody that watches, I'm like, they do this, block them. They do this, block them. Like, my block list is very, very long. And just because I don't talk, like, if they're asking like 50 million questions, they're gonna give you trouble. I will tell you right now, they are gonna give you trouble. So before I answer the 20th question, I'm gonna block them and not answer them. But yeah, so what I do, like, I just had somebody, I actually gave them free shipping, buy 6 pen boxes from me, like empty pen boxes. And I told him, he's like, "Would you do 65 free shipping?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "If you make an offer on the 6 boxes you want, equaling $65, when I ship it, I'll refund all the shipping you paid." And he did it. Like, it wasn't that hard. He did it. I refunded him the money and we're done. So I'm like, "Tim, like, add it. I'll combine the shipping for you, send whatever offer you feel is reasonable. And if I think it's okay, I'll accept it." But yeah, I'm not about to change. Like, people will want to buy like one thing out of my listing. And I'm like, "You can have it for like $5 less than the whole thing, cause like I took the time, then I'd have to go make a whole new listing. And yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is too, is like, if I have that, I cross list everything. So it's like, if you want me to like debundle something and change that listing, I got to go in and do that on all the other listings. Nah, not happening, Captain.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, no. Like, you can buy it and I'll not send whatever you don't want. So the shipping would be less maybe, but like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. All right. Patty says, after ending and selling similar on eBay, it has a link button again. Do I have to then do anything on LP? I'm going to take this because I know exactly what she's asking. So after you end and sell similar and hit the link button, that's it. So your auto delist will work. It will function. All you have to do is hit the link button and you're good to go. If that answers her question, because she knows. If you want to know more, I will do a live listing. I'm going to do it this week. I know I keep saying it. Don't yell at me. I'm very busy. I promise I will do a live listing hangout with you guys this week. Ellen sent a $4.99 super chat and said, "Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You're very, very welcome." I'm going to give you one of my favorites, and that's the whale. Here you go. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what is next. Ellen wants to know, how do you find sold prices for Poshmark and Mercari?
On Poshmark, you just go on the little bar, you scroll from available, you scroll down to sold and go check it out. It's harder because it's Poshmark, the search engine on there is just insane, I think. Or I am, and I don't understand it, but I honestly, if I'm checking comps, I might cruise over to Poshmark to make sure that it's not a more expensive item there. But I check eBay and I check Worth Point. For me, Poshmark is just a mess.
Yeah,
sorry.
No worries. I have nothing to contribute to this answer at all. So I'll interrupt you to tell you that. And
I'll interrupt you to say pass.
Oh man. So look, I have no idea either. And I don't know why you would ever want or need to look up the prices for solds on Poshmark and Mercari. So for me, pricing is universal. So like I put the I use eBay or WorthPoint as my base foundation for pricing, or I just use the book of Tim and I make up my own price and then go from there. You know, because a lot of times the best comp is no comp. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I would just use those tools and then figure out how to price it from there. I generally actually add in like $5-10 on Poshmark prices anyways, because people always send me low
They're
ball
low
offers
ballers, man.
to begin with. So I'm like, you know, I added a couple 5-10, and then also Poshmark is 20%. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of fixed my numbers a little bit higher on Poshmark. And then as far as Mercari goes, Mercari is easy breezy. Like I just kind of list it, same price as eBay. If people send me offers, I do a little bit of head math, and I'm like, all right, is this going to be the same price as it would be with eBay after fees? And if so, then yeah, I'll just take it. And if I already know off the top of my head that it's going to be better because there's no selling fees on Mercari, I just take the offer, is no problem. So as far as, you know, sold prices, I wouldn't worry about all that stuff anyways. Just price your stuff the same thing across all the platforms is my advice. A little bit higher on Poshmark. That would be what I would do.
All right, I have to put this up here and then I'll answer because Brooke is laying down with Dalton right now, putting him to bed for me. So hi, Dalton. He always wants
Dalton.
everybody to say hi. Hi, buddy. I love you. Go to sleep, please, for your sister. All right. As for me, I don't look at I'm in the group. I don't look into sold prices for Posh and Mercari because I comp my prices off eBay because that's my main platform. Like to give you guys an idea, like this month on eBay, we're at like 14,000 in sales, and then Poshmark and Mercari are both around 1,000. So they're like very minimal compared to our eBay sales. But I'm like Tim, I calculate in my head too. If they send an offer on Mercari, I'm like, well, fees, and I'll accept lower offers on Mercari too. Poshmark was crazy this weekend. We had like 8 go out on Poshmark. We did really well on Posh this weekend. But I don't ever comp prices there. I'm going off the eBay prices. I don't change mine for Posh though. Like I don't increase them. I probably should because I do get a ton of lowball offers on Posh. So maybe at one point I will do that.
Can I hijack this and ask a Poshmark question of my own?
You may. Yes,
Because
please.
I don't sell on Poshmark. My wife buys a lot of stuff on Poshmark, and I would say no joke, 50% of the time the stuff that she buys never gets fulfilled. Like the order gets canceled a couple days later. Like, is that common? Do sellers just like, are they cross listing and not delisting and having to cancel the sale? It's like happens all the time. What's going on there?
I think that is what it is. And I'll tell you, I had to cancel 2 this week that were for that reason. I try and remember to message people. I forget sometimes and let them know. And like my mom, who is 75, cross posts for me. And so with me, it's not even not delisting. My mom put stuff on Posh and Mercari like 2 and 3 times. So this crap, like I would end 1 listing and then here my mom had 2 more up there that I didn't know about. So we're trying slowly to like look through the catalogs. What sucks for us is like Posh, you can't sort your closet by alphabetical order where I could pick up those doubles really easy. eBay we can, and Mercari we can. So we picked them off of there easier. But Posh, it's like all scrambled by how you shared it. You could do by brand, but I don't do a ton of clothes. Like I do a lot of other vintage stuff. So like a lot of it's no brand. So I can't even like use that. So I think that's probably, ours has gotten better as we've cleaned our closet up. But I like this week I did have to cancel too. And I think the big thing too is like Posh doesn't punish you. I actually ended my whole closet because I felt bad. I had like over 50% cancellation rate because I wasn't keeping up with ending stuff. And I'm like, I'm a bad seller. Like I took myself off Poshmark and re-put everything back up. But there's still a few that, like I said, a lot of it's my mom like thought she hadn't done it yet and she did it 2 more times.
Yeah, makes sense.
Stale closets too is a big problem on Poshmark. So you get a lot of people who start selling on Poshmark and then they just like are like, okay, this is not really for me, and they kind of just they don't like close their closet. You know, they just kind of leave it up. So there's a lot of times you get like stale closets, like just people who aren't even like, you know, using the platform anymore, and then it's just like, you know, it just kind of it ends up you're ordering stuff of people who just aren't even looking at their Poshmark anymore.
Scott's living up to his name down there. I had
Yeah,
one
right?
cha-ching earlier, but he's
he
like
put the
going
phone. He
off.
put the phone right next to the microphone too, so you know what I'm saying.
The phone's
wanted-
over
he
here. The
wanted
microphone
he
is over
wanted
here.
to make sure you guys heard it. That you know he's the ChaChingKing for a reason.
I
He
will
lives up
mute
to
it.
the name.
That should be better.
Well, mine's my auto delister is what's dinging on mine. My LP auto delister, it dings when I make a sale and then it's taking them down. So yeah, mine was my auto delister dinging a little bit ago. All right, Kathy wants to know, do we get to see the tattoo progress? You do when I get it. So he's still designing it. If you guys missed it last week, I'm getting a new sleeve tattoo, my whole right arm. And so, yeah, so the first session will be like 8 hours and we'll lay it out, figure how we want everything, and he'll do an outline. And it's going to take about 25 hours total to do it.
God.
Scott, quit looking like that.
I can't even imagine. Like, and if I could get like a bigger arm tattooed on my arm, maybe something like that.
You know I have no
So
tattoos.
I'm getting the
right?
ocean. I'm getting the ocean. My whole arm is going to be ocean. I'm going to have hammerhead, sea
Like
turtles.
a Smurf or like Blue Man Group.
Yeah, like a Smurf. You can call me a Smurf. I won't mind. I like you. It's okay. You can pick
Are
on
you gonna add a snorkel to it though?
No.
That would be cool. You remember
Why
the
would
snorks?
I? I'll be like, oh, by the way, Mr. Tattoo Artist, that while you're drawing this incredible piece of art, could you just throw a snorkel in there?
Just throw a snork in there. You know
He's
what
just
I'm
been
saying?
hoping to find a way to get Kevin in that mermaid suit on her arm somewhere.
That is definitely not happening. We're definitely not putting Kevin's mermaid butt on my arm. A mermaid would be cool, though. No, I'm not putting dolphins. I'm not putting dolphins, guys. I've seen enough dolphins over the last 5 years that I don't want a dolphin on my arm. I'm over the dolphins. There will be no dolphin. No, I'm doing a hammerhead. Hammerhead's my favorite shark, so I'm doing a hammerhead shark. But no dolphins. But yes, I will show you. I will show you. If it was done now, I would show you. But I haven't heard back. Soon. All right. Retail. Look, this is a cheap plug, and they're asking the question, so you get a free cheap plug, whoever you want. What other podcaster channels do you recommend for live listing or staying motivated? Kat, I know you said you used to be everywhere back. You couldn't go into a reseller chat and not see me when I was trying to grow this channel. I was everywhere. Okay, so which ones do you like?
I actually, for live, I actually like the Reseller Information Network. Typically 4 guys, all good dudes, all know their niche, what they're doing, and it's more casual. And so for me, I get more out of that than I would something that's real formal.
Yeah, I don't watch any live listing. I should do that. That sounds like fun. But I saw that Thrift of Life came back recently and started putting out some content, and his clothing knowledge is second to none. So I've learned a lot from him. Was glad to see him come back.
Yeah, I enjoy watching him too because it's very straight to the point. But yeah, I will definitely use this as a shameless opportunity to plug Reseller Information Network. We are live every Tuesday morning, 9:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually go to about noon, and then we drop a pre-recorded on Fridays. Other podcasts I listen to, though, Reseller Leftovers is by far one of my favorite podcasts with Dan and Demand, Joe the Philly Picker, and Jimmy Old School Flips. Like, it's a good balance, like kind of like what Scott was talking about. It's a good balance of information and like comedic relief from the reselling like world that we live in. Like sometimes I feel like it's important to not be so serious all the time. Otherwise, like we're just basically working 9 to 5s. And I think most of us who are full-time resellers are doing what we do because we don't want to be in there. So it's important to not let things feel like work. And I think they do a good job of that. And then obviously Trash to Cash, my guys, Kevin, Dave, and Carrie. Those are pretty much the only like 2 podcasts reselling related that I listen to. It's just, for me, it's relatable. I get little nuggets of information. It gets my brain moving in different directions sometimes, which I think is also important. So that's kind of where I am at as far as lives and podcasts go.
Yeah, so LaDonna saying, come hang out with us at RIN, Reseller Information Network. I was over there this morning hanging out. So definitely a shout out to those guys. I would go over there. I also like the Hump Day Hangout with Derek and Regina Michelle.
Yeah, one too.
That's Wednesday nights, and they are absolutely amazing. I've been on that podcast. Tommy Buffalo Picker also has one. I don't have a ton of time. These are ones I occasionally go into. I think Tommy switched his to like Saturday or Sunday mornings. It used to be Friday nights. They switched the time. And then Tim, you guys are every Tuesday at 10, right? In the morning?
9.
Okay. So Reseller Information is a good one for morning wise. So, and Hump Day Hangouts at 9 p.m. And that is tomorrow. That's Wednesday nights. And then, of course, Trash to Cash. And I'm trying to think of if there are any others, because I don't have a ton of free time anymore to hang out like I used to. So you guys can please feel free to share other ones, because we might not know. It's so crazy. You see like a reseller channel pop up and they've got 50,000 subscribers and you've never seen them before. And I'm like, who is this? Like, it's weird that we see people in our circle and there are other people out there that we just don't know about. Like, they don't know about us either. You're like, hey, hi, like, we've both been here for 4 years. Nice to meet you. So yeah, throw your favorite podcast in the chat for sure. Only the mods can share links. I will say that. But you can let everybody know. Yes. Yeah. Hump Day Hangout's been on about as long as we're coming up on close to 5 years with this podcast. Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Leroy wants to know, what is the farthest you will travel to pick up an auction lot?
So my video, not the last one, but the one before that, we drove from Texas to Duluth, Minnesota. So 1,209 miles. But it wasn't just for the auction, but I'm going to go with 1,209 miles.
Wait,
12:10 and I'm out.
Say that one more time. You drove from where to where?
I live in Central Texas, and we drove to
yes.
Duluth, Minnesota.
What kind of car you have? I mean, I just want to, like, if I'm in my mind, I'm like, that's a long ass drive. I want to make sure you had air conditioning, you had good tires or good oil.
I'm moving up in the world. The first time I made the trip was in a '68 Falcon.
Oh, like that, what was that? 1968 or
no?
Oh.
I paid $100, which was like $99 too much. So.
Yeah, I think if the money's there, a road trip sounds like fun. But I avoid auctions for the most part. I buy on auctions sometimes, but what ends up happening to me is I will bid on 7 or 8 lots, and I'll win like the one lot that I actually didn't want to win, and then I have to go actually pick that one lot up because I lost everything else. And so somehow somebody could solve that challenge. I'd probably buy auction lots. But I have traveled. I live in St. Louis. I've traveled to Kansas City to pick up before. So that's probably 200 miles. So it's about the farthest I've gone.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't really do much auctions either that require travel. So I'll kind of just use this as far as an overall thing. I'll travel. So I travel obviously for, long yard sale events. Like I was on the road for 2 weeks. I was in Cleveland for the National Sports Car Convention, and then I was in Kentucky for a week for the 127. So, like, I'll travel for stuff like that. You got to remember, I live in D.C., so it's like, I'm driving 10 miles. That's like, driving to Duluth, Minnesota from Central Texas here. So, it's a whole different ballgame where I live. I was in the car for 4 miles. It took me 38 minutes. So, I'll travel to Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York for like flea markets and stuff like that. West Virginia to go see Cernock, but like that's pretty much the extent of my following. Not a lot of auction buys for me as of recent.
So I will drive as far as something is worth. I will drive. Scott knows me. I will drive. as far as auctions, I almost drove up to Maryland. I actually have an auction I really like there, and I normally buy stuff that's shippable, but there was so much that would not ship, and I'm like sitting here calculating. It's like 9 hours, and then I'm like, crap. But then I'd have to rent a U-Haul, and I'm looking like it's adding up. It was like $2,500 cost, and I'm like, okay, don't bid on that stuff, Kat. Like, it made me sad, but I didn't. So yeah, if it's worth it, I will drive. All right. And you guys have to forgive me. I am like maintaining the questions in the chat by myself. Normally I have Rod to help me, but it's just me tonight. Diane says, how can you argue package weight with FedEx or UPS? I've been dinged twice last week, and I know I had the weight correct, and this was on Mercari. Any ideas?
For me, I think part of it is where I'm at. So like with my post office, they're fantastic. Like I've never had a package scanned late, and it's just not an issue. And it's UPS, I have to drive to the next town over. So it's, 15 miles and like an 8-minute drive. But they don't ever get it wrong. So I haven't had to argue that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think I've definitely had the post office. I think generally does it pretty well. I don't get incorrect weights and measures back from them, but FedEx I definitely have. I've never tried to fight it, honestly, because again, like it depends on how much the difference is. If it's a few dollars, like it's just not worth my time to spend it on the phone with FedEx reps or eBay reps. I will say I think that when it comes to FedEx, though, I think eBay has had some problems with their calculations on their side, causing some of the weight issues and the measurement issues. And eBay actually has been refunding people, not FedEx. And so what I would say is start with eBay, see if they're the problem first. If you do want to fight that. And then if they say it's not the problem, you may have to go to FedEx and fight it. So, but I would also just consider what your time is worth when doing that.
I will tell you, Justin has a really good video out where he was answering a bunch of questions, and he talked about the FedEx and UPS and this sort of stuff. So make sure you guys go check that video out. I'll tell you, that 30-minute video flew by. I was watching it while I was packing, so shout out to Justin.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that.
First and foremost, don't ever use FedEx. And I will tell you this, okay? I'm going to raise my hand and let everybody know. When I tell you guys things, this is how I do things. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean what you do is wrong. Everybody's going to do things different because everybody's business model is different. Everybody's life situations are different. So, just take what I say and, if you can apply it, apply it. If you want to try it, try it. But it doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong and what I'm doing is right. I want to make sure everybody understands that when I'm giving advice.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, because it's important. Like, I live in D.C. You might live in Duluth, Minnesota. So it might be completely different there than where I live. You know what I'm saying? So for me personally, I have no reason to use FedEx. Pricing is not worth it. The time is not worth it. There's always problems with it. Number two, I never buy my shipping labels through eBay. I buy all my labels through Pirate Ship. In one place, it is way easier. If I'm using insurance, I use insurance on Pirate Ship as opposed to insurance through the post office because the claims situation is a hell of a lot easier than it is through anything else. Now, with Mercari, I always do a little bit extra when I'm doing my dimensions and my weight, and I use UPS only. Excuse me, unless it's ground advantage, then I use USPS on Mercari, but I only use UPS ground on Mercari. It's the best way. And if you're doing dimensional versus weight, generally the actual weight will be more than what your item is to kind of counteract if you're off a little bit on your measurements. So always use UPS ground. It is what I do. When you're using Mercari, I have never had a problem with Mercari as far as getting dinged goes. And then just avoid FedEx at all costs if possible.
Yeah, I do the same as Tim. I either use UPS ground on Mercari or I use USPS ground if it's under £1. I have only had one. They got me on the weight and it wasn't enough that I cared. eBay years ago got me like $60. They said something was like 60 pounds instead of 6 pounds. So that one, I did think it was worth my time to get on the phone and argue. And I did win it because they can go back and see the scale and see the weights. And like, that was just somebody accidentally adding a zero into something. So if it's just a few dollars, I wouldn't worry about it. But the important thing is those dimensions, like Tim measured, because there is dimensional weight. So like, let's say you had your box at 8 by 8 by 8 at 2 pounds, and it ends up 10 by 10 by 10 at 2 pounds, that costs more. So yes, your weight might have been correct, but if your measurements were incorrect, the shipping could have cost more. So just make sure you remember that. Tim said he quits. He's done with us. Scott is now me, and I am now Tim.
No.
And Justin is everyone. All right. I'm sure Tim will be back. This is my good friend Elena. If you guys do not know, she just started a YouTube channel. She goes thrifting with me regularly. Her YouTube is Treasure Diva Thrifts. Just FYI. So if you want, you might catch me on camera. I don't want her to catch me on camera, but you might see me on camera because I do go thrifting with her a lot. She wants to know, what cross-listing app do you prefer and why? Justin, I guess you're in the hot seat now. Scott, we're staying where we are.
Sure. Yeah. I'd love to be in the hot seat. So I don't cross list, I used to many years ago. But to me, like it just wasn't worth it. I wasn't selling enough off of eBay to make the demands on your time that cross listing creates. I know that the software has evolved now, and it's easier with delisting and things like that. But Kat, you mentioned I don't remember what numbers you said, but eBay's
$1,000 a month on the two.
Yeah, and so I was doing
Each.
and so I can't remember what my numbers were at the time, but I was just. I think at one point, one of the tools that I was using, I'm not going to call any of the tools out, but like one of them I was using didn't delist it when it said it did. And I got, a ding on the account, on the eBay account for not being in stock. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not making enough money cross-listing to do this. And so, eBay is just like, with all of its problems, eBay is a challenging platform to sell on, but it is so big and is so powerful. You can make so much money on it that I have found it to be more valuable to invest my time deeply into one marketplace instead of spread myself thin across many marketplaces. So personally, I don't like to cross list. I just do straight eBay.
All right. I get to go in the middle now. So I think everybody knows I like list perfectly. I will tell you, you do like with the auto delister, you do like, we check every morning that sales detection is turned on and auto delist is turned on, because a lot of times if there's an update to the extension, it gets turned off. So you do have to make sure, like, it's not like turn it on once and forget it. It has went off overnight on us several times because of updates to the browser. I like it. Honestly, the number one thing for me is the AI Express Lister and being able to create listings just from photos, which that's relatively new. And I think that alone, even if you're not cross-posting, is worth the money because it saves so much time. It fills out your specifics, your title, your description, and it's not like the run-on sentence that eBay's AI creates. It is bullet point like a reseller would do. It's good. And the auto delist, as long as we check it every morning and make sure it's turned on, has been working perfectly for us. I know Posh had some issues. So we were having to end on Posh, but like LP's good about like throwing a note up where it pops up and says like, hey, auto delist on Poshmark isn't working. We're working on a fix. So you need to, you need to end your listings on there. So at least they let you know when that's going on. So yeah, it would definitely be LP for me. And I want to tell you guys, because we're getting close to 9 o'clock, I'm doing another amazing giveaway for you guys tonight because I got an email today from one of my affiliates. So it's a nice giveaway coming up here in a minute. So don't go anywhere. All right, Kat, Scott.
I use List Perfectly, and I started using it. How many of you remember when eBay lost all the photographs? And do you remember that? So I had 200 listings that they lost the photographs for, and they never recovered them. And they just said, yeah, just relist them. But I didn't have a backup. Like once we list an item, I would delete it from my phone. And that's when I found List Perfectly, and I thought it's worth it for me because we were cross-posting a little bit to Poshmark and Etsy at the time as well. So a side benefit, but for me, a backup to my listings, because I know some of y'all list 200 listings a day, but I am slow as molasses in January. And so the 200 listings took us forever to catch that back up. So that's when I started with List Perfectly. And there's been times where listings completely disappear off of any platform, and I can go back into List Perfectly and relist it. So the Express Lister that it has now is really, truly, it's slicker than butter on a bald monkey. It's quick.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
It is so great. It is so great. All right. Hyacinth, which we really need Tim here for this one. Hyacinth wants to know, how do you ship your caps or hats?
Yeah, that's a good question. For all my hats, I always put them in a poly bag. I'm a big fan of clear poly bags. I put almost everything in them. It just makes them look more professional. I just know that when I receive, especially like a used clothing item in the mail, and it comes like in a box, I'm like, what is this? But if it comes in a clear poly bag, folded up relatively nicely, it just feels good. And so I poly bag everything, and so including hats. So I'll put it in a poly bag just to protect it from any any moisture or anything that might come in there, and then I will put it into a box. And so some people put them into other poly bags or bubble mailers, but I think a lot of people are particular about their hats. They don't want it to get damaged or creased or things like that. So I put it into like a 8x6x4 usually, because you can kind of fold the back underneath, and so in a poly bag, in a box, and off it goes.
Sorry for
I'm gonna cut in. Hold on. I'm going to get over my OCD tonight, and I'm going to leave us where we are. Which means, Tim, you are now next.
Okay. So listen, I don't care what anybody tells you about anything. Remember earlier when I said that, everybody can do things their own way? This is not one of those situations, okay? Never and under any circumstances should a hat be shipped in anything other than a box, okay? I will tell you, I have seen people on YouTube say, oh, well, this is they have some weird word that they use for it that allows them to ship it in a poly bag. It's baloney, okay? Never, ever ship a hat in a poly bag, okay? I do not care what anybody tells you. I'm telling you, as somebody who is not an expert, because nobody's an expert in anything, I don't care what they tell you, but as somebody who has experience in shipping thousands of hats, never ship a hat in a poly bag, okay? You put your hat in, just like how Justin said it. I caught it just in time. I put my hat in a bag, okay? Then I put a little bit of paper to try and keep the shape of the hat, and then I put it in an 8x8x8, sometimes in a 10x8x6. That's how I ship a hat. That's how I always ship a hat. I don't care what anybody tells you anything else. It's always in a box, okay? That's it. There's no other debates or questions or anything. That's how you ship a hat.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with him, because I used to argue all the time with somebody that was known for selling hats that would tell you, and now they have changed to shipping them in boxes, I was told. Hats go in a box. I'm not as finicky as Tim is, but my hats go in a box. I typically use 8x6x4s, but occasionally we will use an 8x8x8. I've not went bigger than that unless it's like a cowboy hat or something, or a fedora, but definitely in a box. And sorry about your OCD. They said I'm fixing mine. What about theirs? Because now I'm messing with everybody watching us too. It's my little haha tonight. Okay.
All right. So I'm an expert at shipping hats. So I take the hat, I put it in a clear poly bag, roll the back end, tape it underneath, thank you sticker on the bill, and I put it in an 8x8x4. And I've shipped thousands of hats. And part of it is I don't sell $10 hats. I'm selling a lot of these vintage hats are $50 or $100 or $500. Presentation matters when you're selling something that's expensive. And when it shows up, it looks like I meant to do that. So I agree that I can't imagine even crushable hats. I can't imagine just sticking that in a poly.
I put a fragile sticker on my box that has a hat in it. Take that, poly bag mailers.
Oh, okay. All right. Amy says, I am a one-woman show and only on my 5th month as an eBay reseller. What are your thoughts on when to start cross-listing and why?
Am I still in the hot seat here?
Yeah.
All right, just double
And
check.
Scott is still me.
I think you got to give it some time. Like, focus on a single marketplace for a while. Really get to deeply understand a marketplace. I would suggest eBay because it's the largest. And until you feel really solid there and you have a really good business running there, then think about branching out. And so I don't think there's a time limit. I don't think you can say 5 months, 6 months, 10 months, whatever. I think it's whenever you feel like you have really got a handle on sourcing, listing, shipping, and all the quirks of eBay, and then think about how to expand beyond that. So give it time.
So is it me now? I'm still after
Yeah,
Justin? Okay.
Yes, it's you. You are the old Justin, the new Justin.
You know, this is interesting because this is something I want to stress too, okay? I am constantly listening to the way that other people do things, the different perspectives, and I don't like to always change and just do what somebody else is doing, right? But I love listening to other people's perspectives because normally I would be like, you should already be cross listing, right? But Justin makes really good points. And so, like, I kind of like his answer more than my own answer to a certain extent here, right? Because his answer makes complete sense. Now, for me, I'm a big cross-lister guy. I'm a guy that believes in my items should be everywhere possible, right? I sell on, I lost count, eBay, Etsy, Mercari, Poshmark, Depop, Grailed, whatnot, and all of the district marketplaces that I sell on. So I sell on 8 different platforms, right? And so I'm a big believer in cross listing. But I think what Justin said is super important. It's and the best part about it is it's a time thing, right? There's no right answer to when. It's when it works best for you, right? Like I'm a one-man band too. Like I do everything by myself. I don't got nobody helping me with nothing. And like it's I've gotten comfortable with it, and a lot of that is because of, like my history of being sober now and, my bipolar and all that stuff. Like I got to stay busy. Right. So for me, it works. But for somebody who's just in their 5th month of reselling, I think the best thing is you don't want to get overwhelmed. Right. And I said this earlier, you don't want it to feel like it's a job. Right. And if you're just starting out, it might be a little bit much for you. And you might start feeling like you're overwhelmed. You might get burnt out before, most people do. Because everybody gets burnt out at one point. Whether you're reselling and content creating, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to get burnt out at least once, twice. It happens to everybody, okay? So I think use Justin's advice. Try and tackle eBay first. Because Mercari, Poshmark, that stuff is so easy. I think the hardest cross-listing platform is Etsy, and not everybody does Etsy. I started on Etsy before I did eBay. So, like, for me, it's a little bit different, but, like, I think once you feel comfortable on eBay, try Mercari, because I think Mercari is the next easiest thing, and it's going to be the platform that has the most crossover appeal to eBay because you can list everything on Mercari, right? Like if you're not selling clothes, you don't got to worry about Poshmark, Grail, Depop. If you're not selling vintage glass and vintage anything, you don't have to worry about Etsy. So it really comes down to what you're selling, what you feel comfortable with. But starting on eBay is going to allow you to cross-list to places like Mercari a lot easier because it's not as much back-end work as it is eBay. So I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but hopefully it's helpful. It makes sense to you like it does to me in my head.
I would not expect anything less. Guys, if you don't know, I have known Tim for well over 4 years. I've met him in person. I've met his wife. I have known, and you know what I remember, Tim, is like years ago, like you laying with like all of the platforms around you years ago. He was on 8 like years ago. So his thumbnails used to be like all of the platforms around Tim laying. Go look at his channel. I'm sure they're still there. I would say when you're comfortable with eBay. So that could be in a month, like Tim was saying. It really depends on the person. So that could be in a month. That could be in 3 months. It might take you a year to feel comfortable on eBay. When you're comfortable on eBay, and I'm glad you started on eBay, that is where I recommend everybody start. I think that is the biggest used platform out there. then I agree with Tim, either Mercari or Poshmark. I do some to Etsy, not a lot. Listen, I put out a video yesterday talking about I haven't had no Etsy sales. I might end it. What happens today? $150 Etsy sale. Like, it never failed, never fails. So I would add one at a time, though. And that might, same thing, it might take you a week and you'll be like, oh, I'm good with this. This is easy. And then you could add in another one. I would use a cross-posting service that offers delisting, because I think that is the most overwhelming part of it. If you have one that's not ending everything for you, that's when it gets hard and you have double sales and then you get into sticky situations you don't want to be in. So yeah, that's what I say.
So for me, we cross-post to eBay, of course, is our primary platform, and we cross-post to Etsy and Poshmark. But Justin's right in that, like, I would say easily 90% of my reselling income comes from eBay. And the 10% that I do on these other platforms probably isn't worth the time. But here's why I think it's important, at least for me, to do that. I can't if you've ever been poor, maybe this will sink in a little bit more. But I can't stand the thought of any one platform or any one entity having complete control over my financial integrity. And so if eBay algorithm or AI has a really weird day and they just take me off the platform, which they have done to people, I can immediately just start listing all of my other things because I still have them on list perfectly. I can immediately start pumping much more time and effort into the other platforms. But as far as income goes, I mean, eBay is my income, and I maintain Poshmark and I maintain Etsy because I need a backup income source in case eBay were to lose its mind.
Yeah, it's smart. Good way to think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Jake in the house. Mr. J Ride Flips, another amazing channel. If you guys do not know, Jake has been on with us a few times as well. Jake is asking how much of your success reselling is dependent on your area.
It's a good question, Jake. I mean, there's definitely limitations, right? If you're outside of the US, right, you're just like immediately have a hard time. I talk to a lot of resellers in Canada and UK and Australia that just, it's a whole different game with different challenges that we're not used to here in the United States. If you're talking about like in the United States specifically, you know, you can be living in rural areas and not have a lot to source locally, but people are killing it by sourcing online only. And so there's just, there's different challenges for different areas. And so it is very dependent on your area, but you know, success is not limited by your area. As long as you're out there and focused on winning, you can find ways to make it work no matter where you live. If you're in a major metropolitan area, you know, it's going to be pretty much the same across any of them. There's going to be differences between them, but you know, you're going to be able to find success no matter where you're at. It just may mean that you have to take a different path than you would for someone in a different area. So that's me.
I'm gonna say zero, zilch, nada, zip. Because listen, all if somebody says, "Oh, well, this is, you know, I live in this area and that's the reason why I'm not, you know, a big time reseller," you know what that is? That's an excuse. We don't do excuses here. Okay? The thing is that, like, you could drop me anywhere and I'm gonna find a way, right? Your success is only dependent on one thing, and that's you. Right? How hungry are you? How determined are you? Because I don't blame nobody for nothing that happens that's not working, that's not going right, except for me. You'll never hear me blame eBay. You'll never hear me blame the buyers. You'll never hear me blame algorithms. Only person I have to blame is myself. Because there's people out here playing basketball with one arm, right? You know, you got people in third world countries hitting bottle caps with sticks. You know what I'm saying? No baseball equipment, playing soccer with no shoes. So, like, for me, it's like, you know, you could put me anywhere in the world and I'm going to find a way. And I think in today, we got it so much better here than anywhere else. Like, and in this time is really what I'm talking about. Because, you know, shout out Kevin, Shop Commons, right? Because if you don't have a way to source, Shop Commons is killing it right now to source, right? You can source on Whatnot, you can source on Hybid, you can source on all these different places. And when the rag gets wrung, because it will get wrung, you got to learn to adjust and adapt. I was shopping on Shop Goodwill before anybody knew what Shop Goodwill was, and I was crushing it. And what happened? Everybody found out about it. Prices started going up. You know what I'm saying? I had to pivot. So it's like like you gotta put in the work. Facebook Marketplace. You gotta travel. If you want to be a full-time reseller and you live in a place where there ain't nothing to find, you better get in that car and go to Duluth, Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you gotta do. So travel. Find your flea markets, find your local auctions. Go out there and network. So to me, it's like there's gonna be obviously challenges, like Justin said. I live in DC. There's no yard sales in DC, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to go to Maryland. I got to go to Virginia. There's no yard sales where I live. There's no yards where I live. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and the prices are going to be crazy. Prices are stupid expensive here. I see people like Cernak who lives in West Virginia, and his thrift stores, the shoes are $1. Where I live, you go to Goodwill, the shoes are $15. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but don't complain, just find a way. That's my advice.
Do you get out to those garage sales over in Northern Virginia much?
In where?
In Northern Virginia.
I do. I go. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of sourcing in Virginia.
Yeah, really? Because I used to live in Falls Church, and some of the best garage sales I've ever been to in my life was in that area. Because it's like it had a mixture of like rich people and transient people. Yeah. And like those two combinations, you find the right garage sale. It's amazing.
But there's a lot of good flea market. There's a great flea market in Arlington that I go to the first weekend of every month. Like stuff like that. For me, like there's so many opportunities, and like I'm like 20 minutes from Northern Virginia, 15, 20 minutes. I'm right, here in Northeast DC, so it's a little bit easier. But yeah, there's some good stuff out there. It just goes to show you, like, he's not even here, but he knows there's a way for me if I need to find a way,
Yeah, I say 0 too. I am right with Tim here, and I say it all the time. Like, you guys give me all the excuse, not you in the chat, but in my comments, I get all these excuses. I can't do good. I live in that blah, blah, blah. I can't do good. My thrift stores mark everything up. I live in the middle of friggin' nowhere, and I made $400,000 in sales last year. Now tell me again why you can't do it. If you're disabled, I have people watching me that are blind that are doing this. They cannot walk. They are doing this. If you think you can't do it, the only thing stopping you is you. Period. End of story. You are the problem. If you want inventory, you can find inventory. And this is a soapbox minute for me, and I get on it occasionally. Like, if you want to resell and you want to make money at reselling, you can do it. It depends on how bad you want it. And I do find some at thrifts. Probably 80 to 90% of my high dollar are all from Hybid. Most of them ship from across the country. Does it take me 8 to 10 hours to look through a Hybid auction and research this stuff? Yeah, it takes a crap load of time. But if I can't find yard sales here are like 30 minutes apart. Like, you guys are lucky you can go to 5 in a 15-minute radius. Here, they're at least 30 minutes apart. Good thrift stores are at least an hour from me. Like, do I drive? Yeah. I've went thrifting up in Birmingham, Alabama, Pennsylvania. I love sourcing in Pennsylvania because I went to see my friend Jocelyn up there, my friend Dale up there. You can, if you want it to work, you can make it work, and you get out of it what you put in it. So don't tell me I'm not having sales and then turn around and tell me you have 100 listings. I'm going to say I have 7,700 and I'm making good money, and it took 5 years to get here, right? It's not fast. It's not a get rich overnight scheme at all. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the money. Yeah. See, now I have Marsha following me around to I'm like, this is a good thrift store. Let's go. Marsha and Ellen have both joined me most of my thrifting trips now. So if you want to do reselling and you want to be good at it, study, learn what sells, and find it. And you can find it if you really want it. All right. Scott Cat.
Back when I was superintendent, I hired a group of guys that were from a small African village. They went by the name Zuzu, and they were acrobats. And they were touring the U.S. doing shows for school. You're talking about a group of, I don't remember if it was 6 or 8 guys in a small African village with nothing, who ended up touring the U.S. doing acrobatics. So if I ever feel like I can't make it because I don't live in a metroplex like Kat does, and I live actually rural.
Listen here, buddy.
Look it up, everybody. Population in Penelope is 181.
Okay,
So,
I only have 2,000. I'm so much bigger.
But the reality of it is that when you talk to people that are successful, whether it's at eBay or acrobatics or whatever, you know, failure is something that they hear about, but it just can't be a regular part of your language. If you use excuses for why you're not successful, eventually that's all you have left are the excuses. There are reasons that things go wrong, and there are people that get knocked down, but you have to get back up and you've got to do it. So for me, I'm rural, so I've developed a ton of private picks. Most of my stuff comes from private picks where people know me and they're like, this guy will be fair, call him. And so most of what I do is private picks. And I go in before the stuff ever goes to Goodwill or anywhere else. You have to find a way, and it isn't always easy, and it certainly isn't going to be fair. Okay, I get it. It's not fair, and it's not. And life is unfair, and it's hard. And I will say Justin is right. If you, my YouTube channel is mostly new people. And, you know, I feel like I get to live the American dream because I'm able to do some things that I don't know are as possible in other countries. And I've tried to help some people in some of these places, and man, they're seriously limited on changing the caste system that they're locked into. So I get it that I'm very fortunate. But I also think that I have some measure of success because, man, the thought of failure for me is way more scary than how much work I have to do to ensure some success. There's my soapbox.
All right. I'm going to give Jake Kevin, whether he wants Kevin or not. And then I have 2 more super chats. And then I'm going to give away another thermal printer, guys. 4x6 thermal printer, courtesy of Jaden's, coming up free to one of you. We've already given away 3. They emailed me today and said, hey, you want to give away another one? I'm like, hell yeah. Like, you want to give my people stuff? I'm down for it. So we're going to give away another thermal printer. Here's Kevin, and then we'll get to the next one. Every time.
It's the face on the mermaid when he's like coming out of the water that does it for me.
Okay. While he's laughing, here's the next one. Looking for the dinosaur Tim. And Eric sent this before and I missed it. And there's another one I missed. So I'm going to give Eric 2 Tims. So here come 2 Tims.
Is that holding a bong? Is that what that is?
No. It's a swung vase. I mean, I can see where you would think that based off of meeting me right now for the first time. But it's a swung vase, not a bong.
Okay, let me breathe. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's answer this question. Rocks to be me says, how can I get the ChaChingKing? ChaChingKing? I gotta stop talking. Cha-ching sound notification when I have an eBay sale.
Well, you know, I think you got to subscribe to like the $100 eBay store subscriptions with that, right? Isn't that right? Does that come with that?
What is going on?
No, I don't. I mean, doesn't it just do it automatically? Do you have to turn that thing on? I don't know.
You gotta find good quality items.
Oh, is it asking how to get a sale? Is that how
Oh, I can't laugh any harder. So a lot of times what happens is like if you put I put themes on my phone, and your theme will take over the eBay notification and will become whatever that theme's notification sound is. So the only way I know how to really do it is uninstall and reinstall the eBay app and make sure the notifications are turned on. Scott, do you have any, I can feel my face. Do you have anything else to add?
It could be that it's just been turned off. So you go to your settings and you go to your notifications. You go at the top should be your app notifications. Scroll down to eBay. Make sure that you've got that button on is the first thing to do. And even if you have a theme or something like that installed, you can go in and assign a certain sound to it that if you want the ChaChingKing. It is faster usually to uninstall it and reinstall it.
Okay. Let me give her something that is not offensive to anyone, I hope. I don't know. Okay. Here, this is generic. Here you go. Here's a dolphin. I thought last week was bad. Like somehow this show has went off the train tracks, and I don't know. It's okay. There are still almost 500 of you here, so apparently you like it off the train tracks. We'll just keep going off train tracks. All right, so maybe that'll be our new thing, is to be off the train tracks. All right. Wolfman, I will get you after I share this so everybody can start entering. So Marsha will put up, the only thing they have asked me is that you guys subscribe to their YouTube channel, and that is Jaden's Home. And it is hard to find. They only have 500 subscribers. So please subscribe to Jaden's Home. That is all they have asked us. That's all you need to do. Hashtag Jaden's Home in the chat. We are giving away a 4x6 thermal printer. Oh, the pink one. Mine's right here. I can pick it up. Oh, shoot. It doesn't hardly reach. It's here.
Am I eligible to do this?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, do it. Yeah, anybody. I'm not, because they already sent me a pretty big one, so I'm good. Oh, I showed these last time. I had to put them back in the box because I knew I would use them. If I took them out, I'm going to show them again. They sent me, look what they sent me. Dang it. I'm having issues tonight, apparently.
Bro,
so check this out.
The amount of things that are going in the chat right now, it's going bonkers.
Crazy. Man, I opened the other box. So I opened the other box last week. I might change these tonight just because I can. Okay, look what they sent me. They sent me pink thermal printer labels. I'm very spoiled. Awesome. So they asked me if they could send me some labels to try, and I'm spoiled like this. I did the same thing with the printer. I'm like, could I please have the pink ones? And the pink ones cost more, I'll tell you. The pink ones cost more. And they're very nice. And they sent me the pink printer and the pink labels. Very good guys over there at Jaden's Home. If you don't win, Marsha will put my code, and you can use code the Nurse Flipper and get 14% off. If you do not win, you can use my code. And they're less than $100, guys, and they're good printers. I sold my Dymo to use my pink Jadens and got $200 in my pocket for my Dymo. All right, we have another super chat. I'm gonna give her one before him. Whoops, sorry, Wolfman, don't kill me. I am not drinking. That's all I'm not drinking, guys. I'm not. I feel like I am, but I'm not. All right. Wolfman's good. He said this is awesome. See, he's enjoying it. So I'm gonna call myself out. I'm gonna do my swimming with a gator one, because there is a funny one of me too that I rarely play, and people ask me where it went. It is there. So I'm gonna do that. And then here you go.
Oh,
so if you don't know, I went swimming in the springs after I worked out. I got out and like 10 seconds later, here goes this gator right where I was. So I took that and that was like my highest viewed reel. They're like, you're gonna get eaten by the gator. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I've grown up around gators in Florida. And anyways, everybody was so fearful for me. And I went back swimming there 2 days later. Like, I'm not.
If you swim diagonally, you can get away from them, right?
That one was like so much smaller than me. That was not a big gator. It was a baby gator. I mean, if I had to, I would.
I don't know if I could do it.
I mean, if I had to do it, I would do it, right?
I mean,
like,
yeah, if you had to do it, but I mean, like, there's people that are like, you know, come on down, we're gonna wrestle the gator today.
No, I wouldn't be doing all that. I'm talking about like survival, man. Survival. Okay. We will post the link to their site after this because the chat gets so clunked up with all the entries, you wouldn't see the link. So we wait until after we choose the winner and the hashtags quit coming in. We're going to answer one question and then I will pick a winner. So this isn't even a question. We will do a question, but Carrie put up, Scott, ChaChingKing, you're fabulous, and we so appreciate your teachings. Just found your channel not too long ago, and we love it. Thank you. Carrie is amazing. Scott is amazing. Carrie is great. All right, speaking of Carrie has a question. When you have an item that is perfect, like just sat on someone's shelf, do you list that item as new or used? I recently got some canisters that never saw the light of dawn, but belonged to someone prior. I guess Tim's going to go first, and we're going to go from Tim to me for this one.
Okay, nothing's ever perfect. That's number one, okay? Number two, I don't list anything new unless I've got it myself. I put everything, and in my description, in every single thing that I sell, it says minor wear as shown in pictures. Because somebody somewhere is going to find something wrong and they think that it's not perfect. So I prepare. You list Murphy's Law. What can't go wrong will go wrong. So everything has minor wear. Everything is pre-owned unless I bought it myself or it's like sealed. That's it. And it got to be like real sealed, not like bootleg sealed.
Yeah, that sounds right. I would agree with that mostly. I think unless there's like strong evidence that it's definitely new and there's no question that it's used in any way. And I think the only thing that would really fall into that description would be something that's like sealed in plastic, you know, a new old stock item sealed in plastic, something like that. If you're getting something off the shelf and you really don't know its history, even if it looks perfect, I'm going to be listing that thing used for sure.
So yeah, we normally list everything as used. The auction that I just bought my last video, everything came out of a store that closed. So it was never sold retail. I know that. I can prove it. I can show where it is. Normally what I'll put, even if I have something that appears to have never been worn, then I will list it as used. And it's almost word for word. I will put, if this was ever used, it wasn't used much. And I also say that there could be shelf wear or it may show age and wear as shown in the pictures, because again, even brand new items directly from the manufacturer are not perfect. And all it takes is one person to say, you said it was perfect. And, you know, the 13th thread on the back of the forearm is out of, you know, so I don't list anything as perfect.
That's like somebody putting mint in the title. Like you're asking for trouble there. Yeah. You know,
it better be a mint plant because.
All right, guys, please only enter once. StreamYard will only pick up your entry once. It will not help you at all to put it more than once. It might actually hurt you if you put it more than once. So please don't put it more than once. The only thing like that, like shoes, if I can tell that there's like absolutely no wear to them, I will list shoes as new without box. But anything else, if it's something that's not in a box or not sealed, I'm going to put it as used. And I get people all the time asking me, like, is this perfect? And my response always is no, it's not new. It's not perfect. Like I have tons of used designer boxes that look great, but all it takes is that one little, you're going to get someone that 1 millimeter scratch on that box that you didn't see, and they're going to file a claim. So I like every time I get asked that, and it is a lot, I'm like, this is a used item. It is not in new or perfect condition. Like the only time it's not new, because like you're going to get that person, you're going to get them, and they're going to be the one that you tell, yes, it's new and it's perfect, and it's not. So yeah. All right. Let me pick a winner, printer dinner. So what you need to do, and Marshall will post it for you guys. All you need to do is email me with your shipping address and your phone number if you win. Shipping address, phone number. Yeah. Okay, let's pick a winner. Dun, da, da, da. Zach, congratulations. Zach Sipperman is the winner. You have a new printer, my friend. Email me with your mailing address and your phone number. Marshall put my email down in the chat, and Marshall will also now put the link to Jaden's. If your name is not Zach and you would like one of their printers, please use my link and my code and save 14%. That's my cheap, shameless plug. But Zach won a free printer for my cheap, shameless plug. All right. Let's see. Miss Cindy says, when do you use all caps in your word titles?
Am I back in the hot seat?
You are. This is so great.
I rarely turn my caps lock off. Do you keep usually caps lock off? Everything I type everywhere is in all caps.
Put on mascara. I'm gonna cry. It's gonna be everywhere.
So
That's
it's my turn?
Oh no, I'm not done. I'm still going there.
And for reference, he's also speaking in all caps right now.
I am speaking in all caps. That's true. That's got to be one of my top eBay pet peeves is all caps in the titles. There's a great browser plugin that you can select text, and it's called like Change Case or something. I can't remember what it's called, but you just select the text and right click, and you can change it to first words capitalized. So it's a very quick way to switch all caps titles over to capitalized titles if you're selling similar off of some person who's decided to use all caps on that. So it's like a readability issue actually. Like there's like a real reason why you don't want to use all caps, and it's hard for the human eye to read things that are in all caps. It's just like it interprets each letter as a square. Obviously you can read it, but it takes effort for your brain to interpret it. So you should never use all caps. Always use normal caps.
I never knew that. And you could be 1000% lying, and I would
I made all
because
that
of your voice.
You
And
believe it.
tone.
He's very
I have to
believable.
believe you, right? So I don't do it on purpose or don't do it. So if I'm writing my own title, I just capitalize the first letter of each word. If I'm copying a title, I generally don't like to copy a title exactly, because I'm very weird, and I find that people's titles are weirder than my weird. So like I have to like rearrange the words so that it actually makes sense to somebody who's reading it. And I don't have any like characters, so no apostrophes or exclamation points, and I don't have any fire emojis or anything like that in my titles. But I don't know why you would or wouldn't, unless obviously you don't want people's brains to work in overtime now. So I guess I'm going to have to go back and fix all of my titles that have all caps. There might be a few. I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to see.
Stop in the chat. Stop. Oh my gosh. Y'all are so not funny. Here's the thing though. We had like over 500. We haven't, maybe you guys like the off the train tracks because we've had more people than we normally have. Yeah, I'm so depressed. podcast today. I'm like crying in depression. This is very therapeutic. Listen, quit telling me how to breathe. I thought last week, but I'm telling you, this might top the Commonwealth Picker Show. I have to tell you. So sorry, Kevin, I love you. So I might capitalize read because I want them to read that my product has flaws. Okay. That would be the only reason I would capitalize a word, because I want it to stand out. I am like Tim, I'm OCD. The first letter of each word is capitalized. And same thing with my YouTube titles. I think it just looks better. You guys are killing me in the chat. Yeah. So yeah. And I will tell you on Etsy, you can't capitalize more than 2 words or they won't accept your title. So yeah. Okay, Scott Cat.
That's because Etsy's classy. That's why they do that. You know?
So I got my keyboard on sale and I don't have a caps button. So no, I saw it scroll by in the chat. I don't know if the search engine likes all caps either. And typically if I'm selling similar and somebody has used all caps, I don't even want to use their ad because I assume that they're crazy and that everything else, there will be mistakes other places too. Somebody else asked again about converting. That I think there's something like convert case or case convert or something like that where you could change those things. But if you're copying somebody else's ad and they're using all caps, that's just not a good practice. It's just not a good practice. So very rarely would I turn on all caps.
You know what's crazy? I never use somebody else's whole listing. I don't do sell similar ever on an item.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm not even selling my own stuff. So
I don't think I've ever started a listing on my own.
Stop. Okay. Next question. Okay. I asked them to use all caps because there are 500 people chatting at once and I need to see it.
My brain hurts right now reading this.
They followed my instructions. Ellen said, when I start listing on eBay, should I start selling low-priced items? And how many do you suggest I list at first? So she has not listed anything yet.
I do think that you want to be thoughtful here with how you list when you first get started. You don't want to like buy a bunch of new MacBook Pros and list them all because eBay will be like, hey, what are you doing? You're probably scamming people, and they'll shut you down. I recommend like start with stuff around your house. Use it as an opportunity to clean stuff out and make money from it and learn the process of listing on eBay at the same time and shipping and the whole thing. So I definitely recommend, I don't think there's like necessarily a price point, but like just start slow. You don't want to just dump a bunch of listings onto eBay high price right away because that'll like flag some of eBay's automated fraud protection things and get you potentially in trouble. So definitely take it slow. I don't think there's like a specific number. Just find some stuff around your house, find 10 or 20 items around your house, use that as an opportunity to learn how to list and ship. And, slowly start to build up beyond that is my recommendation.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the normal answer here is, you find the stuff around the house. But also at the same time, right? I don't know if you're planning on doing this full-time or part-time or not, but you don't want to like get complacent and also like don't do anything weird, shady looking, like he's saying, like you don't want to get flagged, right? But at the same time, like you don't want to list like $5 pencils out of your desk drawer. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to try and take it serious too, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to start off on the easy road, right? But you don't also want to, you don't want to. Don't do the bunny slope, but don't do the black diamond. Like there's some in between stuff there somewhere on the slopes, right? You want to take that one, okay? So do a little bit of some good stuff and a little bit of the easy stuff, and then you'll learn as time goes, because the best way to learn is to mess up. And I'm 40 years old and I've probably spent a good 22 years just completely messing things up. And, I'm here now and I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I would say look at the sell-through rate. I would list stuff that's more popular. I agree, like stuff around your house, but I think you've already bought stuff. So I would try and list stuff 50% or higher sell-through rate, because you're going to be limited at the beginning. So I wouldn't pay as much attention to price point. I have less scammers or people even attempting on higher dollar sales. I don't think anyone should be scared of high dollar sales. I've sold $3,000 items multiple times on eBay with no problem. No problem. It's the $9 thing that's a pain in my butt, okay? Not the $3,000 one. I'm not saying I would start with $3,000, but I would start with good sell-through, so you're getting some sales, you're getting some traction. That's also going to motivate you to list more and make you want to do more, and you're going to be happy because you're getting the ChaChingKing sound. That's what it's called now. And yeah, so, all right, Scott Cat.
No, I think, I mean, all of that is great advice. And like Justin said, you start with the stuff around the house. I would worry less about the price point. You like Ed said, you don't want to list a $3,000 item. First of all, you're going to be limited on what you can list. But I would pay more attention to, there are certain categories I wouldn't list my first items in. You know, like if you're listing video games, there's going to be way more scammers there than there would be in, say, vintage doilies. So try to pick categories that have regular shoppers in them. There's going to be far more scammers in the electronics and things like that. And again, if anybody is watching this and you're new, and I don't know how the rest of the people feel, I don't deal with scammers. There aren't many. Like it's really rare that I even get a return. And of those returns, most of them are not scammers. They're just people that want to return for whatever reason. But start with things that you have that are low risk for you, that you're not out a ton of money if something does go wrong. And you're going to, I think it's 10 items or $500 for most people when you first open an account. And I would worry much more about creating positive feedback, picking up the experience that you need, than how much money is going in your bank account until you get things rolling.
I hope Rod's not sick watching this.
I hope saying. He better be sick.
He is sick, but I don't want him watching. Sunny Las Vegas is a new reseller in the chat. Everybody welcome him and say hello to Sunny. Hi, Sunny. Okay, Marcus finally showed up, and he is legit late tonight. He is legit late. This is the Scott Cat chat. That's what they said that in the chat. I like that. It's the Scott Cat chat. You're still getting Rod, even though he's sick. I gave him Kevin once, and he yelled at me. So I don't give him Kevin anymore. And
that guy
Mark
looks like an actor that came from like modeling school.
You haven't met him at any of the events? So Mark lives close to me. So yeah, Mark lives close to me. We go thrifting and stuff. And he's went to like Mount Dora with me. He went to Phoenix with us to list perfectly, camp listing party. He does look like an actor, though. I will agree with you.
I thought I saw him on IMDb once.
Here's Rod, Mark.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
We love you, Rod, and we hope you feel better soon. And we miss you. So here's the thing. I want to tell everybody, here's the difference of this podcast and last week's podcast. I'm normally OCD, right? Like I answer the question, we keep on going, I keep it moving. And instead we have allowed other conversations to creep in, which it appears you guys like. So I think I will attempt to keep my OCD of having to go around and answer the question. Like, I feel like we're sliding towards trash to cash. I'm not going to try and get that far. But I will try and get in the middle a little bit because it seems you guys like it, okay? I will try my best. All right. Ida Grow says, what are your thoughts on coffee mugs?
Wow, this question feels planted, like somebody knows me and they want me to answer this question. I love, this is like my favorite category to buy and sell in. I mean, you can't make any money at all, barely. But I just have a thing for coffee mugs. I love buying and selling coffee mugs. I love finding a great coffee mug. You know, it really gets me going when I find a great coffee mug. But yeah, like the problem, especially like pre-Ground Advantage when first class shipping was around, coffee mugs were like right on that edge of almost a pound. And so you'd be like, oh, can I get this to fit in a box and be under a pound? And you never could. And you would lose most of your money on the sale. So it's not any better now with Ground Advantage and priority there. But I just, I don't know what it is either. I don't know. It's like one of my superpowers that I can like spot a valuable mug. I don't know how to explain to someone else how to spot a valuable mug. Like there's the obvious ones, like, there's certain Starbucks mugs and things like that. But there's some really valuable mugs out there, and it's just so much fun to find those. I've got a great mug collection at home. I've got, different spots around the house dedicated to different parts of my mug collection. So I love doing mugs, but if you're looking to make money, you should probably find another category.
I don't know how to. I don't like that I have to go after him all the time. I just want everybody to know that.
We can switch this up. I don't mind.
Like I don't know what this means. I have the thoughts on coffee mugs. I make my wife generally make my wife a latte every morning. Coffee mugs are great. I will tell you, if you really want to know the best coffee mugs, I don't know if this is going to be okay with Justin or not, but I'm a big milk glass mug guy. Okay, I did a video, a pretty successful video, not like these guys or anything, but it's thousands of views, where I told people about the opportunity to find these we're talking hundreds of dollars of value of milk glass mugs. So I think that's something that's good for people to watch, because, and that's not even just a self plug, but it isn't, because that's one of those things that you can find, right? Like a lot of times people are like, oh, there's this bolo, right? And it's like a thing that you find like once every 76 years, right? It's not a bolo. I mean, I'm going to be looking for it for the rest of my life. Doesn't mean I'm going to find it. These things slip through the cracks all the time. Yard sales, flea markets, estate sales, thrift stores. Vintage advertising, milk glass coffee mugs. Watch the video. You will make a ton of money finding those things, because generally those are the things that are 25, 50 cents. So just a little bit of advice there.
Does this mean
it's my turn now.
Do I get to go again since I'm?
I mean, you can if you want.
800 collectible
confused
ones.
now.
Who's the one to talk to?
Marcia said I'm totally screwing with her head. Poor Marcia. She's like, it probably has our links in order, and now she's had to change it like 5 times. And my thoughts on coffee mugs are like 1% are worth picking up, and I love looking at them. I have a video on high dollar coffee mugs. They are out there. If something is really different and catches your eye, look it up. Do not assume that all of them are not worth money. I picked up some in Key West for like 50 cents at the Salvation Army in Key West, $40 a piece. They sold fast, but they were like, I could tell they were just different. Like all that. Also, the Italian Deruta is a really good name. I do very well with their stuff. So there are some, but I would just say if they look really different, look them up. That would be my advice.
Anybody that tells you everything is already picked over because other resellers have been in there. I've never bought a coffee mug. I've never sold a coffee mug. I will probably never buy a coffee mug or sell a coffee mug. And I don't think they're worth looking up. I don't think that they're worth having. I don't think they're worth shipping. So I could go with Justin and he would get all the coffee mugs and I would be perfectly okay with that. So for me personally, like they just don't meet the minimum. But nobody knows everything. And I don't know enough about them. If I saw something that was truly unusual, I'd look it up. I'm only saying that because I'm on the air, but I probably wouldn't. Like, I just can't stand them.
All right. Dun, da, da, da. Do you believe if you touch an old listing, it will sell?
You have to lick it. That's usually.
Tim, you're in the hot seat, buddy. Go.
All right, listen. Do I believe it? No, I don't believe it. Does it happen all the damn time? You can't just go touch it, though. That's the thing. Like, it's like that weird thing that with the universe and stuff like that, right? Like, it happens, but you can't just be like, oh, I need to get some money. I'm going to go touch that $400 item on the shelf over there, and it's going to sell. It doesn't work like that. But if you're, like, looking for, like, that $10 item, and you go through, like, 15 boxes, and you're unwrapping all this stuff, and you touch the $400 item, then it sells. But you can't just do it. Like, that's the weird part about it.
Yeah. I definitely have tried just walking through my inventory with my arms out, caressing everything on the shelves. It doesn't work that way. I mean, it is weird though, right? Like it's definitely like a phenomenon. I think it's a bit of like confirmation bias though. Like the truth is you're looking at hundreds of your items that don't sell, and the ones that stick out are the ones that do sell. And it's like, oh, that's cool. But there's definitely times where I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this thing in a long time. I forgot it was in my inventory, and 2 days later it sells, So it's just easy to, the ones that happen that way, it's easy to remember them. The ones that don't happen that way just, don't stick in your mind. So it definitely happens, but there's some scientific term for why it happens.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I've been looking through a box for something else, and then you're like, "What? Why is this still here?" And then 2 days later, it sells. So but I don't. I agree with Tim. You can't go around touching everything, thinking that's good. That's not going to work. It happens in like this mysterious way. You cannot purposely go do this, people, unless, like Scott said, you go lick everything. I saw some of you are going to try that. Take your vitamins before you do it, please. And that's all I have to say.
No.
Okay, that was short and sweet. All right. Well, I mean, it was. Here's another I wanted to throw up. They love Scott. They love you. The people love you. As Dalton calls them, they are the people.
You've been reading the chat. Half of the people just want to hear Justin talk. I don't even think it matters what he says.
They love his voice. They're like, oh.
I think he's got a 1-900 number that most of these ladies could call.
He does. He's
got an OnlyFans. He'll be plugging at the end of this. He's already got you all hooked. All right. Anna said, poor Justin, it's his first time. He's like, what the hell did I sign up for? Clothing on eBay doesn't get many views for me. However, when I list something like an old iPod, it sells in an hour. I have good photos, brands, etc., but a lot of listings are showing 0 views. Why?
I'm first. Okay. First of all, don't look at the views, because if we're talking, that's wonky. I don't think it ever makes sense. It's not real. It doesn't calculate right. Something's wrong with the eBay, right? As far as if you have good photos and good brands, now this is the thing here, right? You might think you have good photos and you might think you have good brands, but just because you think that doesn't mean that it's true. So you got to double check the sell-through rate on some of these things. Make sure you're double checking. Make sure you're, I'm a big AI background guy when it comes to photos, because you got to think about this. Like, yes, it's really great. eBay, millions of people, right? But also millions of sellers, also millions of items. Okay. So you have to find a way, especially if you're selling like bread and butter clothes, you got to find a way to stick out. Otherwise, your listing is going to get lost in a sea of free people turtlenecks, okay? So you gotta find your way to navigate through those waters. And also the pricing. Pricing has a lot to do with it too. I'm not telling you to undercut the entire market, but you want to have your items priced competitively. And then also, clothes are tough on eBay. It's just a fact of life. With that electronic stuff, there's millions of people looking for all that crazy, weird things. So, like, with clothing, maybe you branch out. Try Poshmark, try Mercari, try Depop, try Grailed. You never know. You might get more traction over there. But I think you should always kind of, spread your wings a little bit. Don't put all your eggs in one basket as far as eBay goes with clothes.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally dependent on what you're selling. And the truth is, most clothing is way overly saturated on eBay. There's just, you just do a search, see how many competitive listings are out there, how many active listings. And, if it's a generic piece of clothing, there's going to be just tons of competition. So the chances that yours is going to sell in any sort of reasonable amount of time is pretty low. But, an iPod, people like collecting old iPods, and there's not many places you can get them. And so they're going to go much quicker. But it's totally dependent on the item. Every individual item has a unique sell-through rate. They have a number of active listings, a number of sold listings. That's going to tell you roughly how much time it's going to take for them to sell. So just take a look, go through your inventory, pick something out that you think should have sold a long time ago, and see how many active listings there are, see how many sold listings there are. That's going to tell you a lot right there. Clothing, I think, I would go with promoting. You know, I'm a big fan of promoting listings, especially with clothing, because it is a saturated market. You need something to stand out a little bit. So I'm fine forking over a couple extra percentage points to eBay to get those listings up and in front of people, get them to sell a little bit quicker. So, but yeah, it just totally depends on the item, and all the data is there for you. You don't need to guess. You can just do that research and sort of start to understand how long it's taken to sell or how long it should be taken to sell.
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback on Tim's and agree, like what you think is a good brand doesn't necessarily mean it is. And also with sell-through rate, check the size. Size matters with clothing. The larger sizes are going to sell faster. Except I've learned with like Lily Pulitzer, my smaller sizes sell faster. So there are some brands that like smaller sizes sell faster, but the majority larger sizes. So like I have a lot of brands that are good brands that I won't pick up unless they're an XL or bigger. Like Columbia Vented fishing shirts are one. I used to pick them all up. Now I only pick them up if they're extra large or bigger. So it's definitely saturated. I'm also a fan of promoted listings. It is a saturated category and it's all supply and demand. So definitely look for the size shirt, the brand, and the color and size to get a true sell-through rate. You know, if you're just searching the brand and shirt, you're getting really generic sell-through and it's not going to be accurate because there might be one type of that shirt that sells really, really good. And there might be, yours might not be that. So, yeah.
I think that most of our sales are clothing. So we sell everything. I'm opportunistic when I buy, but mostly clothing. And there's not a single person that could guess my number one brand over the last 3 years because I don't have any competition. It's the brand Six Sight. It was a high-end hunting clothing company in Dallas. When it went out of business, we bought, I want to say like 600 pieces of it. I have no competition. But Levi's and Wrangler and all, I think Mark said something about the mall brands. That's what Melody and I call them. Man, it is so hard. If you just put in the word Levi's jeans and do a search on eBay, and there's something like 120,000 of them listed. Six Sight, it's just my stuff. If you type that on there, it's going to be my stuff. And so we sell a lot of clothing, but I don't know that I pick up any mall brands unless it's a special size or a special color. I just don't have any luck with it. And I'm not fashionable. So I wouldn't know if it's the hottest, latest item. So I agree with everything they said. We sell clothes. We sell a lot of clothes, but I pick things that I don't have competition.
Yeah, you get the rare, the vintage, like you have a really good eye for clothes though, I think, especially with like the older stuff. Like Scott knows the older stuff really, really good. And when you're the only one with it, yeah,
material, fabric. That's that's an important aspect of selling clothes. Learn your fabric types because some fabrics are going to sell a lot better than other fabrics. And when you find those items that have like really good fabrics, make sure you utilize that in your title and in your description and your item specifics because that will make a big difference. There's a lot of people that buy clothes based on fabrics.
Yeah, it's also like a good way to source as well. Like I do sourcing with my hands a lot.
Yeah.
Just like running, especially if there's just like a huge rack of clothing, you can just walk through there and feel the higher quality items.
Same thing he does with his inventory.
Oh yeah, and then they immediately all sell before I even
So somebody told me, and like this is going to be really weird to say sitting here on a panel with three guys, but I'm going to say it anyways because I know the majority of my chat is probably ladies. But somebody told me like women going through menopause search for 100% cotton, and so they told me like if I have 100% cotton to put that in the title, and I have not got to that point yet. But they said, look, like if you even blankets, they're like stuff that's 100% cotton, women going through menopause, they're searching for it. So that's another tip for you guys. And I don't even remember where the hell I was going with that. Yeah.
I think you were going to talk about menopause next.
Yeah. Menopause. They do it in conjunction with us and they Never. I'm on a panel with guys. I can't say this. They'll attack me. I'm shutting up now. Shutting up. Nothing. Okay. Renee said, I saw in another channel, eBay policy says used items must be washed and this must be stated in your description. Have you heard this?
Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. First and foremost, I said it in the beginning of the show, just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's true. I don't care if they got 500,000 followers and they put out these videos trying to tell you what's going on. They're fear-mongering people out here on YouTube. Don't listen to anything they say. I ain't never heard of this policy. I am not going to go here and sit here and change all of my listings because some jabroni told me that this is what's going to happen if I don't change my listings. If you're feeling really upset about it and worried and concerned, call eBay. Don't listen to some guy on YouTube trying to tell you all the rules about eBay because it's crazy talk. And no, I've never heard this. I would never do this. And think about this. What kind of sense does this is another thing you got to think about. When somebody tells you something like this, think about it from a logical standpoint, right? Do you know how many, we just talked about it, how many clothing listings there are on eBay, right? Do you really think that every single one of those listings says a used item says in the description that's been washed? Hell no. Number two, I talked about this earlier. People got allergies to detergents. You can't just be going and washing all these used clothing because then people are going to buy them and then they're going to have breakouts on their skin from the detergent. So
okay, I'm going to put it up. I'm going to put it up and I'm going to skip Justin and then we'll go back to his announcer voice because I have to interject. And I knew the video, I knew who put it, and I chose to put this question up and I put it up, okay? It does state that on eBay. Here's the thing. And you're probably in the chat, whoever. Tim is like me with the soapbox. That's why I love him so much. I get like that too. So it's nice to have like another person that gets on the soapbox. Scott is showing us the policy, I'm sure, but we can't see it. Oh, all pre-owned clothes must be cleaned prior to listing. For most Scott, you're killing me, man.
Anyway, I took it down.
Anyways, it does say that, but here's the thing, and I don't remember which of you. I bet one of you was who I was chatting with. People do not donate from their dirty laundry. They donate from their closet, right? If you see something that is dirty or you smell something that is dirty, by all means, wash it. You would not be a good seller if you did not. If I pick an item up with a tag, I am not going to wash it. That would lessen the value of it. If it does not smell bad and there is not a stain, I am not washing it. But again, people donate from their closet. They do not donate from the dirty clothes pile. And I want to put this up here because this is very true. And I receive clothing like this. I don't have allergies, but somebody's saying they can't wear it because somebody sent it with the dryer sheets in there. Tim is right, guys. People have allergies. Like, by all means, if it stinks or it's dirty, wash it. I don't put it in my description. I've been selling clothes for years. If they come after me, they come after me. But if it doesn't look or smell dirty, I am not washing it. Okay, Sir Justin, sorry for that.
Oh, no worries. That was good. I mean, here's the deal.
I feel stupid.
eBay has a lot of policies, a lot of weird policies out there. Like there's just some crazy policies that they have. And one negative thing about eBay is that they're inconsistent with how they enforce those policies. Some of them matter a lot and some of them matter not at all. And it definitely is a policy that you're supposed to wash clothing before selling them. The whole I get that you don't want to mess with people's allergies. My daughter has allergies. But like if you have an allergy that's bad enough that it's going to be
probably shouldn't be buying used.
You shouldn't be buying used clothing on eBay. And so, but here's the thing. Here's why that policy exists. It's not so that everyone actually washes their clothing. It's so that they can keep adult items off of their platforms, like soiled items off of their platform.
Like dirty underwear.
Like dirty underwear, exactly. Like it's to keep that type of stuff off the platform. If you're selling clothing that's in reasonably good condition and not washed, they're not going to come after you. It's not that big of a deal.
How long has this policy been in
I think it's been around for a long time.
Ever.
Yeah, it is. You can look. I mean, Scott pulled it up. It's definitely a policy. I don't wash my clothing. If it needs washing, I will.
Man, they
But
put that
Okay,
on
can I
like the
point out
fifth
something that the
page,
policy
six
said, though?
paragraph, fine print. I ain't never seen it in my life.
So let me
It's
tell you
fair.
what the policy actually says. The policy
Okay.
says it does not say they have to be washed. It says they have to be cleaned. And in my opinion, that's cleaned as is appropriate for the item. If you, I sold last year a 1920s Brown University double V sweatshirt. So you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I cleaned it by wiping the dust off of it, but it wasn't something you would launder. Like you would wash away all the value. And the people buying it would absolutely freak with a lot of these vintage jeans that people sell. They would die if you wash that. So cleaned is not the same thing as having run through a washing machine or a dry cleaner. For some of them, it is literally brushing them off. I've cleaned it off to where I can take my pictures. That's the way I interpret it, because it says cleaned. It doesn't say wash. In fact, it says for most clothes, this means washing, but not all, and which means not mine. Because so
Yeah, and some vintage stuff, if you wash it, you're going to destroy it. Like, that's it. It's done. You know? So, again, like, these policies are there, but you have to interpret them. Don't sell dirty, stinky clothes. I have sold some clothes that were rough, but they were vintage, and I knew if I washed them, I would destroy them. And I was leaving that up to a buyer that was a collector that better knew how to restore that item than I did, versus me ruining a $100, $200 vintage piece of clothing. So, you know, Sarah says, is it ever frustrating when you make a great multi-quantity listing and sell a bunch, and then somebody copies your exact listing and undercuts you with a worse item?
No, I ain't worried about nobody else's, what they doing. I'm worried about me, my price, my description, my title, my photos. I could sell water to a well. I don't know if everybody else could do that. So no, I don't ever pay attention to nobody else's listings. I do me. I follow the market. If the market needs to be adjusted, the market needs to be adjusted. But you know, if somebody copies my listing, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's flattering, but I don't sell a lot of stuff that can be undercut though too, right? It's not like I'm selling like, you know, toothpaste or shampoo that people buy at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling a lot of one-off stuff, so I don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good practice to have a thick skin when selling online on eBay. Like if you want to have long-term success on eBay, you can find, and if you can just find all sorts of things to get upset about to distract you from the goal. You know, it's like returns are a good example where nobody likes getting returns. I hate getting returns, but you know what? If you sell stuff online, you're going to get a return. Like that's
I don't
just a part.
accept returns.
Yeah, well, I mean, people can return stuff anyway. You know what I mean? Like if you're getting upset every time you get a return, you're in for a bad time. You're not going to enjoy this business. So like, you know, yeah, people are going to steal your stuff. Who cares? Move on. You know, who cares? Just have a thick skin. Don't let it bother you. Just focus on the big picture and don't let the little annoying things bring you down.
Yeah, I don't care what other people are doing. I'm worried about me. I'm not worried about anybody else, and they can do what they want. You know, honestly, like that's like worrying about people stealing your pictures. Like once you post them, they're public property anyways. They're not really stealing them. They belong to eBay and the general forum. So yeah, I don't pay attention to that stuff, and I don't think you should either.
I hate everybody and everything.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh my gravy.
It's not working.
Okay,
Just move
listen.
on.
We're gonna do a dino for Tim, and then Eric's sending me money, man. You want to send me money? I'll play whichever super chat you want. We can see Kevin's butt 10 times. I don't care.
Are we getting a cut of this? What's going on?
After YouTube's like giant chunk that they take out of it, we might each get a couple dollars. All right. Are we ready for this? And then we'll answer one more question. I'll let the guys tell you bye. Here you go. Okay,
He's got a
one.
bong outside the 7-Eleven. I'm sure of it.
I have a lot
Okay.
of 7-Eleven points.
A lot.
140,000 now, I think.
He loves 7-Eleven. Okay, last question from Collecting with Charlie. When you do thrift with me videos or just film in a store, do you ask permission or do you just start filming and explain things to an employee if they say something?
I don't ever ask permission to do anything in this world. I just do it and worry about it the rest later. No, I don't. What am I gonna do? Walk into I live in the thrift stores around me. There's 7,000 people inside a thrift store at one time. They ain't worried about me walking around with a GoPro on my chest. No, most of the time people don't care as long as you're just being normal. Like, don't do like anything like it's not like I'm filming like crazy prank TikToks or something. I'm just rolling through the aisle of the glass trying to find a banger. That's all. So no, I don't really. You know, I've never had any problems. Knock on wood. So
Yeah, I don't do that type of video. It's not really my style. Like, I love watching them. I watch all sorts of thrifting videos and garage sale videos. It's fun to watch, but it's just I don't make the videos myself, so I've never strapped a GoPro to my chest and gone to a thrift store. So can't answer it directly.
Yeah, so for me, I do not ask permission. I just go in and do what I'm doing. I wear a black shirt. My black GoPro is right there. And most of the time, people don't even notice. Now, if they do ask, I tell them what I'm doing. I have never been asked to stop filming, but I think Elena and Marcia were at the bins in Ocala and they made them stop filming. So like if somebody ever asked me to stop filming, I would. Now I can tell you, like, garage sales and thrift stores, I've had people be like, oh, I don't want to be in that. And I respect that. Like, they tell me they don't want to be on camera. I'm not going to put them on camera. I would say I was extra careful in Pennsylvania with the Amish because they don't like having pictures taken or videos. So when I was thrifting in Pennsylvania, like, I only showed the merchandise. Like, I really didn't have any people except for like me and my friends in the video. So I would say be very respectful of cultures that are out there. And if somebody asks you not to, but I concentrate on the stuff. Like, I don't do a lot of interaction with people like the garage sale videos. I do more like stuff. So I'm not really recording people a bunch.
I tried to record those videos, and so I shot them at 120 frames per second. And then when I go to edit, I immediately slow it down to 50%. And it still looks like I'm Hammy from Over the Hedge. Like, I'm just moving way too fast.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah. It's like somebody lit me on fire. Like, when I don't know what to say. Like, I've tried to shoot the videos, and people are like, that was dizzying. And I know how to edit, and I know how to.
It makes you slower. When you're recording a video, you have to turn your body slower. You have to look at stuff slower. Like, there's no fast.
oh,
For
yeah,
me.
I mean, I'm on 1,000 at all points.
Yeah.
You guys see me, if you see me in like other people's videos, like when I'm like around, I'm out picking with everybody else. Like when John Cincinnati Picker, we were together at 127. He put out a video, and people were like, "Does Tim come with a volume button or a mute button?" Because like I'm a people person, so like when I'm out at like the garage sales and the flea markets, like I'm very like, I'm with the people. You know what I'm saying? So most of the time they're like. People are like, am I going to be on YouTube? And I'm like, yeah, we're all going to be on YouTube.
They're like, yeah, we're famous. Yeah.
So most of the time it's fun. I think it's kind of like the question you get a lot of times too. Is like people were like, should I tell people I'm a reseller? Like they're asking these questions, and like you think of this like cockamamie idea of what to say to somebody at a garage sale when they ask you, like when you're calling in sick from a job you don't want to go to, and you don't have. Sometimes people respect the honesty, and then like as long as you're not like trying to be like deceptive about it, and it's fun. People enjoy it most of the time.
Before I was interrupted, What I was going to say is that no, I don't ask for permission. Those videos don't do well for me, but I don't ask for permission.
Oh my
No,
gravy.
it doesn't
Okay.
come with a mute button that works on my end.
I got that button, but I love Tim and I don't want to use it. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Speaking of Tim, I'm gonna give him full stage, guys. It is after ending time. We only have 13 unanswered questions, so we did better than the 35 last week. We did better. But come next week, we are here every Tuesday. I forgot. I know Leroy's on next week. Let me see who else is on with Leroy. Bear and Bison, which I do not know them. Rod invited them. Bear and Bison and Leroy will be on. So Reseller Information Network is like dominating my show for 3 weeks in a row. So definitely check them out too. All right, Tim will tell you more, I'm sure. Here you go.
So before I do anything else, I just want to say big shout out to Rod, who couldn't be here. I have gotten to know Rod a lot over, the course of the last year. We've been picking together a bunch of times, so feel better, buddy. Hopefully I did you proud. Big thank you to Kat. It's been so difficult for me to be able to do this show because of my schedule and my million other, things that are going on. So to be able to have this opportunity is really good for me because of what we do at the Reseller Information Network is very similar to this. We want to try and help people and give people the best advice possible. And like I said in the beginning, just remember that there's no right way to do something unless it's shipping hats. Besides that, you got to do what's best for you. And I think that's the most important thing. I am very accessible. I try my best to answer as many, messages as I possibly can, but I am always all over the place. My main goal is to help people. I want to make people smile and I want to help people. That's all that really matters to me when it comes to this YouTube stuff. But I've been on a hiatus for a month because I've been traveling, but we have a backlog of footage that's coming out soon. So over the years on YouTube for all my picking and flipping stuff, over the years, sports is my sports channel where I do card shows and bargain boxing. And then Reseller Information Network live every Tuesday morning. Video drops every Friday. And then Authentic in the Beard, which is why I can't be here during football season on Tuesday nights, is one of my football broadcast shows that airs 4 nights a week. Thank you,
Perfect.
guys.
All right, here's Justin.
Am I supposed to say a bunch of stuff now too? Because that was a lot of stuff to say. I don't have nearly that much to say. And in fact, it's past my bedtime, and I don't even live on the East Coast. I'm in Central. It's still past my bedtime here. I'm very tired. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me on here. Hopefully I can come back sometime. My channel's Justin Resells. I go on there and I talk about eBay and stuff like that. So check it out. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Perfect. Here's Scott.
I actually have something. My video that I shot in Duluth, if you get a chance, go check it out because I announced in the video I'm doing another mystery box. And as if you followed me for any time at all, on the rare occasion I do one, they're all free. It's but all you got to do is go put your bid down in the bottom. The money, it's all free. I pay for the shipping. But also, I'm super appreciative for Kat inviting me. I feel like it's like an opportunity to get sit at the popular table. And one of the things that has come up every time we've been on the show, if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out how to do this, the best way that you can figure out how to do it is to do a little bit and just get started. And that way, when you go watch these videos of the people that are really, truly trying to help you, your questions will be better and you'll have a lot better idea of what it is you need to know, because there's some tremendous channels out there. And I've met a lot of the other resellers. And honestly, the number one thing most of them want is they just want to help. We want to see people succeed. All of the people around us, we want you to succeed. And so that's it for me. I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of this.
All right. I have to say special thanks to Tim was really last minute. Scott was also last minute. I had to ask them to come on with me tonight. Justin wasn't feeling good. So thank you for still coming on. I appreciate it. Rod, I hope you feel better soon. All of you in the chat, I'm going to try and we will try to have this a little more laid back because I think that you guys are enjoying it more. I just have to get over my OCD, and obviously by this lovely mismatch of where everybody's at, that's me like, I'm dealing with it. So yeah, thank you to all the guys. Definitely please check out their channels. I do have all of the links in the description. Also, Reseller Information Network, they are every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. I've got that down in the description as well. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And we are here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Bye, guys.